The big bar theory. How to get out of a shite pub. Knowing your Britvic 55 from your 45 drive. It happens to every punter at some point. We have the intention of having a quiet or loud pint, only to walk into a scene from a Sergio Leone western. A pin could drop. You can hear the squeak of the bartender's rag cleaning your potential glass. As the Brillo pad scratches the bronze taps, the unease sets in, the unease of heads turning as you enter the saloon of choice. Hats remain untipped and broadsheets ruffled. The results into an awkward shuffle towards the bar. Eyeballing you, the regulars dismantle your intended consumption with rolling glares. Hats remain untipped and broadsheets ruffled. This results into an awkward shuffle towards the bar. Maybe you can charm them with a ballad, or maybe just a swift exit. The latter may suit best in this situation. There is a science to finding the right pub. There is an art to escaping a shit one. When I was younger, I was probably subconsciously learning pub etiquette, much in the same way as a Spartan baby must survive its first night of life atop a hill propped by a layer of testing wolves. That in itself is the essence being underage and trying to get served alcohol. I remember one of the first disco bars I was in. It had recently been taken over at the time. Despite the refurbishment, it was a relic and a revolutionary all-in-one on the rural Cork rave early house scene. Early house taking on a double meaning at a certain time of day and night depending on its use by revellers. I was wet behind the ears, but dry on the lips. The Revelations it was called. Scrumpy Jack cider was my poison. It was a spot ahead of its time, 10 years too late. Neon lights exposed shadows of teenage finger banging on ribbed leather couches. European heavy hardcore house music blared out sound decibels from Newmark speakers that were loud enough to make a HSE officer's ears bleed. And yet I am lucky, after a revelation at the revelation. There wasn't any trouble in the air, people were taking it easy and were laid back in as much of a way you could expect for an early autumn Saturday evening. Yet for the life of me I felt a dormant fear that a lad of 20-something comes to learn after a while of frequenting public houses. You get a nose for trouble. I am very lucky after the revelation at the revelation. I asked my date what she wanted to drink. Fat frog? No bother, babes. As I walked up the meandering steps from the lounge area to the dimly lit bar, I noticed something. For some reason, everybody had an earring, including the cat. Yes, there was a resident cat performing nights, 7 nights at that. I hindsight, I really appreciate the quirkiness of the place, but I suppose at the time I was just concerned that the public and was about to ask me how I got into my fucking feelings hurt. My girlfriend followed me up to the bar. Fat frog and a pint bottle of Black Label, please. The bar replied, €10. I died. There was a burnt out weekend warrior, probably 50 odd, with a flat cap and a Prodigy t-shirt, blatantly looking at both our arses odd. Prodigy man rose from the bar stool and incidentally doubled as a glass collector. I felt a tickle in my nose. I scratched it but the itch wouldn't subside. I felt the pre-fuzz of a dirty sneeze. I followed my dash hound as I sneezed, which caused my head to bow forward in an allergic spasm that motioned my head away from a missile bottle of Britvic 55. That in itself is a sure sign that premises may not be graced with your presence, or that in its very premises may not be graced with your presence. Repeating myself, that's what I do best. The patron saying a shady nightclubs and watching out for me anyway. I regard my health. The impending feeling of getting beat up in front of your girlfriend is enough to trigger any man's fight or flight instincts. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you.